Holy shit, I look like an adult now. That's alright. I'm not too disappointed. We grow up. I got a little bit of man muscle on me and shit. Yeah, when I was like 18, 19, 20, I could not for the life of me put on any muscles. And so that was kind of problematic. I'm trying to pull up the work file. We're gonna do another chapter of Alex Proverbs just because it's been a while. So yeah, I just kind of shared some of the footage that I found from like 2008, 2009. I wasn't lying when I was saying that I was trying to be a little guitar player. I practiced a lot. I didn't have a life. It just consisted of me. Stand your ground. Ooh, okay. Chapter 19. Selective foundation, right? So if we were to design our life to be something special, we would have to first pick a foundation upon which to build. Be specific about which foundation you're building. LXMNV.com aims to point out that biblical principles are the best way to go. We pursue an abundant life of a son of a king, not of hopeless poverty and illness. I guess this is the meat and the potatoes of my belief. So if I were to embrace the fact that I'm a Christian, right? If I were to embrace that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and this God is the all-knowing, the King of Kings, right? Irrefutable King of Kings. So if this Jesus Christ, who was his son, was also a King of Kings, came down here in human form, ended up dying for us to kind of teach us a lesson or to show us a better way of living, then if I were to believe his work, if I were to believe his words, then I would also inherit a certain amount of son of king status, right? So if I were to be a brother of a son of king, I would also be a son of a king. So I think that in itself is a beautiful differentiation between trying to build a life on the mentality of lack and not enough and being too small or waiting for further instructions, and kind of going through life. I have found out, because I too have needed help and I needed some instructions and input on what to do, and somebody to look over my shoulder and be like, you're doing this correct, or you're doing this incorrect, this is how you do it, let me take you by the hand and show you the ropes. So I think for the most part we're kind of waiting for some of that to happen, right? So but as we get older, we find out that a lot of people just don't know, and then there's a lot of things that we don't know that we don't know, and then nobody is going to technically want you or is going to have bigger plans for you than you would have for yourself, right? Even your boss, if he has a plan for you, it's just a small portion of the task that you got to do. He never includes you in the bigger picture of his little dynasty. So yeah, if we were to select a foundation of a good life, and especially as Christians, it's such a freeing mentality to, it's an abundant gateway to an abundant perspective, right? So because this God is all powerful, abundant, right? And gracious and generous and everything, or a lot of things within the scope of his blessings, I guess, he gives to us freely, right? So that's a cool little cheat code, I guess, which is why I talk about this Christian stuff. Is with the Christian stuff, although it's some of it's backwards to man man thinking, right? Because man's supposed to be the stuff, this warrior, this beef this beefcake and sex toy type of thing. But the Bible says that a man is is a, what is it, like a heart-led creature. Yes, he has a brain, but he is very loving, he is very protective, he is very nurturing, he knows how to till the soil, and he knows how to protect his family, and he knows how to love his wife ever so gently and kindly and tenderly. And then he also knows how to break his back and get the most out of the day, right? or or in the war setting or in a hunt setting. Fortunately, we don't really have to do the hunting too much, and hopefully not too much war, right? But I guess if a man were to try to flourish, a part of his responsibility also entails raising kids and a household and a safe atmosphere for his offspring to kind of be safe in, right? So select your foundation. In life you will be asked to build the future, to build your empire, your dreams, and your legacy. But here's the truth: not all foundations are created equal. When you start, it's tempting to build quickly, to move fast, and to build something that will give you immediate results. But those results are hollow if the foundation beneath you is weak. The strongest buildings, the most the most lasting legacies all have one thing in common: a foundation that can withstand anything. The same is true for your life. The foundation you build today will determine the life you lead tomorrow. And I want you to ask yourself, what foundation am I building on? You see, your foundation isn't just about your financial success or your career achievements. It's about your values, your beliefs, and the principles you choose to live by. They shape who you are and what you stand for and where you are headed. Your foundation is what you build your life upon, and what that foundation is will define your journey. There's a section that's living like a child of the king. We might read that. What does the biblical principle offer you? Foundation. The dangers of a weak foundation. Abundant isn't just financial. Build with purpose, build with power. So there are still quite a few good points to touch up on and read. But in the previous chapter I discussed about the values, right? So I have 5. I have my future, my fitness or my health, my family, future, fitness, family, finances, and my spirituality or faith. So five F's, and I simplified it so that I can remember them. And if I am ever to be making a decision and it conflicts with my family and my future, then I know that decision cannot be made technically, right? So if I need a job and I'm in the job market, but but the price of that, the action of that requires me to abandon some of my values, then I would have a different type of decision to make, right? So when we're building a life, sometimes we have to have made decisions, multiple decisions, to identify who we are and what we don't do. And then that alone gives us a good enough foundation so that not every opportunity is actually an opportunity. Some of it's a distraction, right? Some of it is a detour, or it has a false bottom to where if you take a couple steps you drop. So but if you build a house on some solid rock, which is also another big reasons why I like the topic of rock bottom, is Once you've hit a few rock bottoms and you are faced with the truth and you understand that it's irrefutable, some facts just do not move. Doesn't matter how you look at it, doesn't matter what time of day it is or what day of the week, that thing, it just stays constant, right? And so that could be a foundational piece, right? So I know from having made countless terrible decisions, I have found out that perhaps I'm gonna try to be a good guy, because even if I am not very good at that, at least I'm trying to be a good guy, right? Whereas if I were to try to be a criminal, there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong, and somebody could snitch on me, another criminal could be after me, the police could be after me, I could be harming too many individuals, and then the byproduct of that is somebody is going to be after me. I could be setting myself up, I could just putting myself in danger. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that if we were to build our lives on, we can definitely see what could work and what couldn't work, right? And then the Bible is also full of examples of this was a good king. His kingdom did well while he was alive. This was a bad king. This is all the tragedies that happen. And we could look around the world and be like, okay, good leader, bad leader, good leader, bad leader. And then to an uneducated mind, opinions are opinions, right? So good leaders and bad leaders all kind of. I just hit the gym. I was trying to be an adult. Like I said, I uploaded some stuff when I was 18, 19, and it took me so long to put on some weight. I think I was like 27 before I started having a little bit of a chest, and then my arms are still kind of tiny in comparison, right? It's like I've always been at like 145, 150 pounds. I'm still about 150. So I'm trying to eat a lot more. I'm trying to hit the gym a little bit more, just because I want a better next summer, right? If I'm gonna be social, I might as well try to look good, so that when I'm social at the beach, I'm like, hey, what's good? Let me get your number. Let's do business together. Yeah, and then one day I'll meet a wife, right? I'm hoping that in the meantime, while I'm single, I don't get into too many complications. I don't want to have a potential baby mama drama, right? So I can't really just be playing around anymore. I don't really want to risk my health too much, because there's a lot of people and they date very, very loosely. There's a lot of stuff that's circulating as far as health issues. So I'd like to perhaps be uninvited from that too. But that's also because that's one of my foundations. All this work that I'm doing, this groundwork, writing the books, doing the chapters, doing the business meeting and the articles, all of that is to try to set myself up for a successful business here coming shortly. And if I were to still be in the party mode and play mode, then absolutely anybody can just come by and derail me at any point, right? Hey Alex, let's grab a drink. Boom, boom, boom. The whole weekend later, my money spent, nothing got done, and somehow I got a DUI. So there's quite a few things that could go wrong if we are to just be a little bit loose with our principles and the way we do our life. I'll read last paragraph. Living like a child of the King. One of the most empowering truths that the Bible teaches is that we are not individuals walking through life. We are children of a king. This is not a metaphor or a nice setting. This is your true identity. When you grasp this concept, When you really understand that you are royalty, it changes everything. Living as a child of a king means recognizing your worth, your value, and your potential. It means understanding that you are not meant to live in poverty, whether that be emotional, spiritual, or material. The pursuit of abundance, health, peace, and prosperity is not a selfish act, but a rightful inheritance. By standing firm in this identity, you will no longer tolerate mediocrity or compromise. You will not settle for less than the best life has to offer. You are royalty. You are called to rise above the circumstances, to aim higher, to achieve more, and to live a life of abundance. You were designed to live freely and fully. Isn't that just kind of more freeing mentally? Like, isn't that more beautiful than wait for further instructions? Be happy with what you have. That sounds like some bullshit. Like, here's very little, and you're gonna be happy about it. And maybe that's where most of my stuff stems from. Is I'm looking at some of these people and they have a lot, and I'm looking at myself and a few other people and we don't have nothing, and I'm like, what makes a difference? And then I looked at their mentality and their approaches. I was like, oh, these guys get up and go and get it, right? So there's technically not too much inequality. Some people put in more effort, some people do the bigger sacrifices, some people do the better choices. And then consistency and compounding of good choices, meeting the right individuals, cultivating correct relationships, right? And a lot of growth is what really works. Like I said before, I'm assuming there's some 18, 20-year-olds watching my stuff. And I'm assuming there's some 35 and 40-year-olds watching my stuff. And I'm hoping that, my life is pretty vast. So I'm hoping to cover a little bit of experience, right? So each chapter gives me a focused point of discussion, and I can't just automatically recollect good stories. It's just whatever comes up when the ideas are kind of, the juices of the ideas are sloshing around and being discussed. So that was chapter 19. Pick your proper foundation, and then upon that we can build, right? So chapter 1 was talking about make a decision, chapter 2 was about see growth, and then chapter 3 was work hard. And then there's quite a few perspectives to keep in mind in order for us to grasp this good life. And even though the underlying current of this, or motivation of this book, is let's get rich, let's have a good life, let's be free here so that our wallets can be good, our relationships could be good, we can be good dads, good husbands, and good leaders in our community. The true wealth is in the perspective, right? So even if we had $1 billion, but we were socially weird and we just hoarded it all and we didn't give it all, and we were just kind of miserable and this and that, that would be a weird way to live. I don't want to do that. So while I have nothing, I'm like, let me get this going so that when I do possibly have a little bit more than nothing, I can maintain a good perspective. Thank you for your time. That was chapter 19, and it's been 19 minutes. We made it.